ஹாய் வியூவர்ஸ், என்னோடய வீடியோஸ் பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்கள். இது வரைக்கும் சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணாதுங்க சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்கள். ரைட் சைடில் இருக்கக்கூடிய பெல் பட்டனை கிளிக் பண்ணுங்கள். Hi children, in the last class we have discussed about the Carnatic Wars and Mysore Wars. Today we are going to see about the British administrative organization in India. Because of British only the four services, namely civil service, army service, police service and judiciary came to India. Let us see in depth about these services. The British Indian administration was run by four principal institutions, that is civil service, army, police and judiciary. Let us see the civil service. The term civil service was used for the first time by the East India Company to distinguish its civilian employees, that is, non-military employees, from their military employees, translating law into the action and collecting revenue. So, what was the main work of this officer? To collect the revenue. The civil service was initially commercial in purpose because they are collecting revenue, isn't it? So it is commercial in nature, but later it was transformed into a public service. In the beginning, the appointment of this service was the sole prerogative, means right of the court of directors of the company, that is East India Company. But the nominated civil servants indulged, means they engaged in corruption, ஊழல், bribery, lanjam, and an illegal private trade. So Cornwallis, who came to India as a Governor General in 1786, enforced the rules against the private trade. He also raised the salary of the company's servants, who became the highest paid civilian servants in the world. Next, Lord Wellesley, who came to India as the Governor General in 1798, he introduced the idea of suitable training for the civil servants in India. In 1800, he established a college in Fort William at Calcutta to provide training in the field of literature, science and language. So, the civil servants were given the training in the field of these three. However, the directors of the company not agree about this action. They replaced it by their own East India Company, established at Haileybury in England in 1806. So, Lord Wellesley started a college at Calcutta, but this was not liked by the directors of this company. So they changed the college at Haileybury in England in 1806. The idea of competition for recruitment, means appointment, was introduced first by the Charter Act 1833. It is also called as Government of India Act 1833 or St. Helens Act 1833, passed in the British Parliament. But the system of competition was this: not nominated by the court of directors were not eligible to write the competitive exam. So those who are nominated by the court of directors, they need not write the competitive exam. Hence the system was called as nomination cum competition system. Nomination means select a candidate for public office. The system of recruitment on the basis of open competitive exam was introduced in the 1853. The system was confirmed by the Government of India Act 1858. The maximum age for the competitors was fixed at 23. Subsequently, East India College at Haileybury was abolished in the year 1858, and appointment to the civil service became the responsibility of the Civil Service Commission (CSC). By the regulation of 1860, the maximum age was lowered to 22, and again it was reduced to 21, and in the year 1876, the age was reduced to 19. The Indian Civil Service Act, very important, Act of 1861, passed by the British Parliament, exclusively reserved certain categories. Some reservation has been kept of high executive and judicial posts for the covenanted, that is agreed personal civil service, which was later designated as the Indian Civil Service. Due to the lowering of age limit and holding of examination in London, it could be possible only for a few wealthy Indians to appear. So the poor Indians, they cannot go and write the exam in London. Indians to appear at the ICS examination. In 1869, three Indians, namely Surendranath Banerjee, Ramesh Chandra Dutt and Bihari Lal Gupta, became successful in the ICS examination. See the box information. Satyendranath Tagore, the elder brother of the poet Rabindranath Tagore, was the first Indian to pass out the ICS examination in 1863. We should be proud of this. It was not possible for the Indian to appear the ICS exam at England, so our Indians demanded to increase the age limit and to establish Centre for Examination in India instead of England. In 1892, the minimum age for appearing this exam was raised to 21 and the maximum to 23. In 1912, a Royal Commission on Public Service was appointed, headed by Lord Islington. This commission had two Indian members, one is G.K. Gokhale and Sir Abdur Rahim, besides four Englishmen. The Commission published its report in 1917. So, what was the demand from the Indian side? To increase the maximum age as well as to have the exam center in India, isn't it? So, this Islington Commission's recommendation partly fulfilled the demand of the Indians for the civil service. In 1918, Montagu and Lord Chelmsford recommended that 33% of Indians should be recruited in the Indian civil service, and gradually this number should be increased. In 1923, a Royal Commission on the Public Service was appointed with Lord Lee of Fareham, it is a town in England, as a chairman. This commission recommended that recruitment to all the services, Indian services like Indian Civil Service, Indian Police Service and the Indian Forest Service should be made and controlled by the Secretary of the State for India. The Lee Commission, very important, it recommended the immediate establishment of Public Service Commission. The Act of 1935 also made provisions for the establishment of Federal Public Service Commission at the center and the provincial Maganam Public Service Commission in the various provinces. The provision was also made for the Joint Public Service Commission in two or more provinces. சில மாகாணம் வந்து ஒன்றுக்கு ரெண்டு சேர்ந்து இருக்கும். ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி மாகாணத்தில் ஒரு ஜாயிண்ட் பப்ளிக் சர்வீஸ் கமிஷனும் வைக்க சொல்லியிருக்கார். Although the main aim of this measure was to serve the British interest in became the base of the civil service system in independent India. The next Indian services is Army. The Army was a second important pillar of the British administration in India. The East India Company started recruiting, means appointing its own army, which came to be known as Sepoy or Soldier Army. That Sepoy army was trained and disciplined according to the European military standards and was commanded by the European officers in the battlefield. During the early stage of British rule, three separate armies have been organized in these three presidencies. That is, one is Bombay, Bengal and Madras. These three are the presidencies, isn't it? Army had a great contribution in the establishment and expansion of the British rule in India. Our Indian soldiers were given less salaries and allowances than English soldiers. In 1857, the Indians constituted about 86% of the total strength of the company's army. However, the officers of the army were exclusive British, so our Indians are given only less salary and as well as the lower post. But the officers of the army were only given to the British. For example, in 1856, only 3 Indians in the army received a salary of rupees, 300 rupees per month. The highest rank an Indian could have is Subedar. Indian kudukudi highest rank in Subedar. The remaining all the higher posts were given to the British. See the strength of British Army. The Battle of Plassey War 1757. See how many European infantry? 1950 European infantry means Kaladpade, soldiers working on the foot. 100 European artillery. Artillery means fighting with big guns. 50 English sailors and 2100 Indian sepoys. An English army of 6000 troops was maintained in Bengal. In 1857, the strength as the army has increased. The strength of the army in India was 3,11,400, of whom 2,65,900 were Indians. Its officers were British. After the revolt of 1857, this revolt of 1857 is also called as Sepoy Mutiny. The important changes were made in the Indian Army services in 1858. They increased the British troops and reduced the Indian troops. Also, only English were appointed in artillery. The next important service is police. When the East India Company took over the Diwani means the revenue administration of Mughal in 1765, the Mughal police system was under the control of Fajidar. Fajidar means police officer who were in charge of the Sarkar. Sarkar means government or rural district. The Kotwal means Talame Urkavalar were in charge of the towns while the village watchmen were paid and controlled by the Jamindars. The police system was created by Lord Cornwallis. So who created the police system? Lord Cornwallis. He revealed means set free the Jamindars from the police function and established a regular police force in 1791. Cornwallis established a system of circles or thanas means police station, each headed by daroga. Daroga means inspector. The authority of the daroga extended to village watchmen who performed the police duties in the villages. The hereditary village police became chowkidars. Chowkidars means watchman or gatekeeper. In the big cities, the old office of Kotwala was however continued and a daroga was appointed to each ward of the city. So each ward of the city they appointed one inspector. The daroga system was extended to Madras in 1802. Before the post of district superintendent of police was created, all the thanas means police station were under the general supervision of district judge. In 1808, a superintendent of police (SP) was appointed for each division. Later, the district collector was entrusted with the task of controlling the police force in the district. The main task of the police was to handle the crime and to prevent conspiracy means secret plan against the British rule. The next service is judicial system. In 1772, the dual government was abolished. Do you know who introduced this dual government? Robert Clive. Yes, the dual government was abolished and the company took over the direct responsibility for the collection of revenue as well as the administration of the justice. Consequently, a Diwani Adalat means Supreme Court of Revenue in British India and Fajudari Adalat Court of Civil Justice were established. By the Regulating Act of 1773, a Supreme Court was set up in Calcutta. This court consisted of Chief Justice and 3 judges who were appointed by the Crown. Crown means appointed by the British. This court decided civil, that is private affairs case, criminal illegal cases, then ecclesiastic, that is Christian church, Tiruchabain solvanga, and admiralty cases means government department cases. On the model of the Supreme Court of Calcutta, a Supreme Court was established in Madras in 1801. And in Bombay in the year 1823. In 1832, Lord William Bentinck started judiciary system in Bengal. An Indian Law Commission was established to compile the law. A rule of law was established for the whole empire. According to the Indian High Courts Act 1861, 3 high courts were set up, one in Calcutta, other one in Bombay and in Madras, in place of the old Supreme Court. Instead of Supreme Court, they established 3 high courts, one in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras. See the box information. Sir L.G. Impe was the first Chief Justice of Supreme Court at Fort William in Bengal. See, Sir Thiruvarur Muthuswami Iyer was the first Indian Chief Justice of Madras High Court. Children, so far we have discussed about the Indian services, that is civil service, military service, police service and judiciary service. Now we are going to see about the subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary means Tunai Kootani. See, the Lord Wellesley introduced the system of subsidiary alliance to bring the princely states under the control of British. It was the most effective instrument for the expansion of British territory and the political influence in India. The princely state was called as protected state and the British came to refer as paramount power. Paramount means most advanced power. It was the duty of the British to safeguard the state from the external aggression, external threat and to help its ruler in maintaining internal peace. The main features of this subsidiary alliance is, see, number 1, an Indian ruler entering into in this alliance with the British had to dissolve or dismiss his own armed force and they should accept the British force. அவருடைய armed force கலைச்சிட்டு பிரிட்டிஷோட armed force கூட அவங்க ஜாயின் பண்ணிக்கணும். Number 2, a British resident would stay in his capital. So, British appoint பண்ணக்கூடிய ஒரு ஆள் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, இந்த இந்தியன் ரூலரோட கேபிட்டலில் ஸ்டே பண்ணணும். Towards the maintenance charges of the army, the Indian ruler should make annual payments or cede some territory permanently to the company. All the non-English European officials should go out of the state. The native ruler should deal with foreign states only after getting approval from the English company. So, in the trade இருந்தாலும் எதா இருந்தாலும் என்ன பண்ணணும், the native ruler they should get permission from the English company. The British would undertake to defend the state from internal trouble as well as the external attack. See the merits for the British. The British company maintained a large army at the expense of the Indian rulers. So the Indian rulers is paying amount for maintaining the British army, isn't it? All Frenchmen in the service of native rulers were dismissed. So French people என்ன பண்ணாங்க? They dismissed, and the danger of French revolt was completely eliminated. The British company began to control the foreign policy. Foreign policy means with respect to trade, investment, finance, etc. of the princely state. Wellesley, diplomacy ruler means very much interested ruler, made the British the paramount power in India. He transformed, see this last line very very important, he transformed the British Empire in India into the British Empire of India. See the defects of the princely state. The subsidiary alliance made the Indian rulers weak, oppressive means powerful, unfair and irresponsible. Now we are going to see what are the states that have joined the subsidiary alliance with British. The first Indian state to accept the subsidiary alliance was Hyderabad in the year 1798. It was followed by Tanjore 1799, Hud that is Uttar Pradesh 1801, Peshwa that is Maharashtra 1802, Bozi that is in Nagpur 1803, Gwalior 1804, Indore 1817, Jaipur, Udaipur and Jodhpur 1818. It is in Rajasthan. The doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie. According to this doctrine, if any Indian ruler dies without leaving a male heir, his kingdom would automatically pass over to the British. Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur and Jhansi were some states which were annexed by the company under this doctrine. Now, the doctrine of lapse. Lord Dalhousie was one of the chief architects of British Empire in India. He was an imperialist. Imperialist means he has a policy to extend the rule or authority of one country over the other. He adopted a new policy known as doctrine of lapse. வாரிசு இழப்பு கோட்பாடுன்னு அர்த்தம். To extend British Empire, he made use of his president and declared in 1848 that if the native rulers adopted children without the prior permission of the company, only the personal properties of the rulers would go to the adopted son and the kingdom would go to the British paramount power. This principle was called the doctrine of lapse. Let me quote an example here. Do you know that Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi adopted a male child as her successor? But this was not accepted by the British, so they waged war to capture her kingdom. It was bitterly opposed by the Indians, and it was one of the root cause for the Great Revolt of 1857. By applying the doctrine of lapse policy, Dalhousie annexed Satara in 1848, Jaipur and Sambalpur in 1849, Bahat in 1850, Udaipur in 1852, Jhansi in the year 1853, and Nagpur in the year 1854. Factors for the success of the British: greater naval power, development of textile, scientific division of labor, economic prosperity and skillful diplomacy of the British. Feeling of insecurity among the Indian merchants, the inequality and ignorance of the Indian kings. See the conclusion. The Battle of Plassey was the foundation of British power in India. The company's administration was not for the interest of people. It was a imperialistic, that is ruling other country, expandist and exploitative. It brought more Indian territories under the British domain through subsidiary alliance and doctrine of lapse. This policy led to the South Indian rebellion. South Indian நிறைய புரட்சிகள் ஆரம்பிச்சது இதனால, இந்த subsidiary allianceனால, இந்த doctrine of lapse மூலியமாவும். So the first rebellion is Velur rebellion, that is Velur mutiny 1806, and the great rebellion that is called the Sepoy mutiny in the year 1857. Thank you for watching this video. We will see in the next session.